an invitation to Eden. The iron gates stood open, inviting, beckoning anyone who dared to enter. They seemed to whisper secrets of a forgotten world, a place where time stood still. Beyond, a riot of color blazed beneath a fading summer sun. The garden was alive with hues of red, yellow, and purple, each petal catching the last golden rays of daylight. Crimson roses drooped from overburdened trellises, their petals heavy with dew. They seemed to sigh under the weight of their own beauty, a melancholic reminder of a once-tended paradise. Sunflowers turned their faces to the west, seeds plump with autumn's promise. Their tall stalks swayed gently in the breeze as if nodding in agreement with the changing seasons. This was no ordinary garden. It was a place where nature had taken over, weaving its own intricate patterns and designs. It sprawled across acres, a forgotten masterpiece reclaimed by nature. Vines twisted around ancient statues and wildflowers burst through cracks in the stone pathways. Paths, barely visible beneath fallen leaves, disappeared into shadowy groves. The air was thick with the scent of earth and decay, a reminder of the garden's untamed spirit. A young couple, drawn by curiosity, stepped across the threshold. They were eager to explore, to uncover the mysteries hidden within the garden's depths. They didn't notice the shadows lengthening, or the wind whispering their names. The garden seemed to come alive around them, its secrets waiting to be discovered. Whispers on the wind. The garden disoriented its visitors. Paths led them back to where they started. Time slipped, minutes stretching into hours. Daniel felt a shiver run down his spine. "Do you ever feel like we're not alone?" he asked. Sarah laughed nervously, trying to dispel the unease. The laughter of children seemed to drift from the far end of the garden, only to vanish. They pressed on, their earlier enthusiasm replaced by dread. The inscription on a sundial read, "Time devours all." The Vanishing Gardener. A tale whispered among the villagers, a story that seemed to grow more mysterious with each retelling. They came to a clearing, surrounded by ancient oaks. The trees stood like silent sentinels, their gnarled branches reaching out as if to guard the secrets within. In the center, a single rosebush bloomed, its petals a deep velvety black. It was unlike any rose they had ever seen, its beauty both captivating and unsettling. Sarah reached out to touch its petals, but Daniel pulled her back. "Don't," he whispered, sensing something was not quite right. An old man emerged from the shadows, his face a roadmap of wrinkles, his eyes, though clouded with age, held a strange, piercing intensity. "Lost, are we?" the old man rasped, his voice like the rustling of dry leaves. "The garden has a way of doing that," he continued, his tone both cryptic and knowing. The shadows seemed to dance around him, adding to the eerie atmosphere. Daniel, trying to mask his unease, asked if he worked there. "Do you tend to this garden?" he inquired, his voice steady but his eyes betraying his curiosity. "I tend to the garden," the old man replied, a mysterious tone lacing his words. "But the garden, it tends to me." His statement hung in the air, heavy with meaning. He turned and melted back into the shadows, leaving the young couple alone. They stood there, bewildered, the weight of his words sinking in. The garden, it seemed, was more than just a place. It was a living, breathing entity with secrets of its own. Night fell, cloaking the garden in a deep, almost tangible silence. The air was thick with an eerie stillness, as if the world itself was holding its breath. The moon cast long distorted shadows that danced and flickered, creating ghostly shapes that seemed to move of their own accord. Daniel and Sarah, hopelessly lost in this labyrinthine garden, huddled together for warmth and comfort, their breaths quick and shallow. "We have to get out of here," Daniel whispered urgently, his voice barely audible over the pounding of their hearts. Sarah nodded, her eyes wide with fear. They stumbled through the darkness, their footsteps uncertain and faltering. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig sent their hearts racing. The scent of roses, once sweet and inviting, now seemed cloying and suffocating, wrapping around them like an invisible shroud. After what felt like an eternity, they emerged into another clearing. The sudden openness both a relief and a new source of anxiety. In the center of the clearing stood a marble fountain, its surface stained and cracked with age, a silent witness to countless forgotten nights. A single lily, its petals the color of moonlight, shimmered under the night sky, its beauty both mesmerizing and unsettling. As they watched, the lily began to open, its fragrance sweet and heady, with an undercurrent of something dark and foreboding. It was as if the flower itself held secrets, whispering them into the night. Drawn by an unseen force, they moved toward the fountain. The scent of the lily grew stronger, overwhelming their senses. Everything went black. When they awoke, the sun was high in the sky. They were lying on the grass, the fountain and the lunar lily gone. The garden bathed in sunlight seemed almost normal, but the fear remained, a knot of dread in their stomachs. They were trapped. They finally stumbled out of the garden, the iron gates looming before them. They didn't speak as they hurried away. They didn't look back, but they couldn't shake the feeling that they had been changed. The garden remained, a silent sentinel at the edge of town. The whispers continued, stories of strange lights and eerie music. But no one dared to venture inside. The garden waited for the next unwary soul to wander through its gates.